So, welcome everybody. Delighted to have you here. 30-minute fast and furious quick guide to a masterclass I am delighted to introduce, because I think that we all know that any aspect of change means taking a massive risk. We're asking people to try out something new and to abandon old routines, old habits. The comfort of what we already know how to do is replaced by the fear, the anxiety and stress of doing something new. So we're at a situation, whether we are coaching people through change or we're experiencing change, well, we need the most confidence. And frankly, that's the essence of this masterclass. It is full of practical techniques that are about building your confidence. But also, as we'll see in a moment when we go through the content, that some of the things I really liked was a chance to reflect on, well, actually, what's causing my lack of confidence. So I think you'll find that the causes of imposter syndrome, and I really like the imposter monsters that Estie's going to talk to you about, is thought-provoking. I went through this masterclass. I had it playing out in the garden one Friday afternoon a couple of months ago. And it was one of those things where I was listening to a video and going, and it was pinging off thoughts in all directions, because it doesn't matter how experienced we are or how high up in an organization we are. We're all subject to imposter syndrome at some time or other. We all have a negative inner voice. And there were things on that video that were so compelling that I thought, I need to hear this again. And there were several videos that I actually played 2-3 times when I was out sitting there. And I was doing something sort of in the garden, some kind of physical activity, just weeding and sorting things out. And it was great because I was able to really tune in to what I was hearing. And it was just making me think, yeah, that is so me. And yeah, that is an interesting perspective on maybe why I hesitate to speak up in certain meetings, or why I don't want to enter this meeting, which I know is going to be a difficult conversation. So I think what you'll find in this masterclass, as with all of them, is that we're looking at very practical things. We're giving you the empathy. We recognize the situation and the impact that it has, but we also are thinking about the practical application. So if Estie moves the slides on, we'll just say who we are. So I am the chief executive of a company called Capability for Change, and we have a platform called Changeability Pro, where we host all of these masterclasses, so our members can access these as part of their membership fee. But we also make these available for you to buy online via our website as well. I'm a professional change manager, so I'm dealing with these situations all the time. I'm also a board advisor to organizations, global brands around the world, who are dealing with multiple simultaneous change. And actually, my interest is in how do I support people who are struggling. We could call it change fatigue, we could call it change saturation. But people are so overwhelmed that they're starting to lose what confidence they have, because there's so many calls on their time. They're spreading themselves so thin that they think, am I doing a good job? Do I know what I'm supposed to be saying? I'm feeling a bit overwhelmed. So I come from it from a very practical point of view, as well as being the author of numerous books and the chief examiner for a variety of change qualifications. I'm interested in how I build my own confidence and how I can coach others. Let's Estie introduce herself now.
Thank you, Mel, and hi everybody. Thanks for joining. It's really great to see so many names, and I see some familiar names. So I'm Estie Briggs, and I'm over across the pond in Northern California. I do have a master's in organizational development, which was one of my favorite processes. I love learning, and if I could just get paid to go to school, I would do that. But I haven't found anybody that wants to pay me to keep learning. So doing it along here with you guys. I've been in learning and development or leadership development in some capacity for over 20 years. And I'm really passionate about helping people be more effective, but most importantly, helping them build better relationships with everybody that they come in contact to, whether that's teammates or coworkers or partners even. And I have had people refer their spouses for emotional intelligence training with me. So I think that's a good testimonial. I did all of the research on this masterclass on imposter syndrome, which I'm really excited to share with you. I learned a lot myself, and this was really a growth experience for me, building and scripting and recording and digging into this content and making it something that is now shareable is really exciting. And I've been training in many industries, everything from tech to construction. I have a lot of clients that are in the trades, and the thing about these skills is that it applies no matter what industry you're in. So it's like air, like we all need it. So I'm excited to share some techniques with you today. And I'm really grateful to Melanie for creating this platform for me to share this on, and also for co-creating this with me. I told her the other day I felt a bit like we'd had a baby because we've been working on it, not 9 months, but quite a while. So thank you for having me. And it's great to see you
Pleasure.
all.
In the next slide, we're just going to put up the context of this because this is a masterclass. We started developing the series of masterclasses last year for deep dives into an area of something that supports change. You're either experiencing change or you are trying to help others through a change. So, what we've done is we keep addressing some of the most difficult areas, some of the areas that perhaps we need more support on. So I started the whole masterclass program with one that I get from a lot of change professionals. How do I really set up a change network? But then we also moved into things like digital leadership, which we'll do a quick webinar on next week. We've recently launched, which I think goes very closely with this one, which is building change for non-change managers. That is a masterclass that's being used by a lot of organizations because it's written from the perspective of you're not a change professional, but you are somebody that's got to lead yourself and your team through change. Let's try and understand what's involved with all of that. And I think this confidence building masterclass goes into that. So we're going to dive into the content of this in just a moment. It's all housed on the Changeability Pro platform, along with some of the self-paced online learning for certification courses like the Agile Change Coach, Agile Change Agent are there as well. But that just provides you with the content. We're now going to listen to Estie on her origin story, and really who this is for and why it's so important.
Thanks, Mel. So this masterclass came about because Melanie and I were discussing some of the challenges that change professionals go through. And again, as the class evolved, the people that we thought that it would benefit also evolved. That list grew. This is really, if you're a seasoned change professional and you find yourself at times doubting yourself or hesitating to speak up or share knowledge, especially with stakeholders, that could be a result of imposter syndrome. This is also going to be a masterclass for people that are experiencing the change, because as we know, change and uncertainty causes us to really have our confidence shaken when we don't know what's happening. And we're in a new world. I don't know about you guys. There's a lot of change right now going on in my world, both internally and just in our nation, even. And having these tools to boost confidence has been a game changer for me. I learned a lot of things from building this masterclass. This is also going to be helpful for managers. So if you're leading teams through change and you need to be able to take decisive action, but you find that difficult, or you find yourself second guessing, people sense that, right? We've all experienced that. So this is definitely for you if any of this is resonating. And these are some of the outcomes you can expect. You'll definitely have a new understanding of what imposter syndrome is. You will, because of my background in emotional intelligence and a lot of the content that I've created in the past around building self-awareness, was able to translate directly to this class. You're going to learn some EQ skills. So specifically self-awareness techniques that can teach you to pause and recognize when those imposter voices are taking over. And you'll understand and appreciate that how that self-doubt does come across to others, how others perceive you when you're experiencing that self-doubt, and learn that it can impact your ability to build trust with them. We're also going to explore one of my favorite topics, which is assertiveness, because that's not something that comes easily for a lot of people, myself included. So we're going to look at what are some of the barriers to healthy assertiveness for us, because there are things, just like you would analyze the barriers to change happening, we're going to explore the barriers to healthy assertiveness for you and find out how you can question those or break those down. And well, not most importantly, but also importantly, you're going to learn some strategies so that you can help others. You've got to put your own oxygen mask on first, right, when you're on the plane. But once you start trying these strategies out, I think you'll find that you recognize it in other people too, and you'll be able to help other people on your team or coworkers recognize that they do have something to bring and that they should speak up, or they should question things and not let their imposter syndrome stop them. And of course, you'll leave with a personal action plan. So depending on your flavor or flavors of imposter monster, which we're going to talk about, there's different strategies that apply, and you will leave with a personalized plan based on what you need and what you're experiencing. So it's a really concise but rich class, and I'm excited to dig into some of it.
I've just been delivering the Agile Change Agent course today. And one of the things we've been talking about in relationship building is the importance of anyone who is responsible for change. We have to take people through basically the journey of change, and they have to want to come with us. And that requires us to be a sort of powerful magnetic force. People need to want to come towards us. They want to believe in us. They want to trust us. And it's a really interesting conversation about when we feel hesitant about something, when we are doubting ourselves, we radiate that. And that is not something that is attractive. It's not something where you want to follow somebody. And I think this is one of the issues, is that by overcoming our own imposter syndrome, our own negative inner voice, we start to radiate more confidence. I'm in control. You can trust me. You can rely on me. I'm not busy doubting myself. And because I'm not doubting myself, I'm not radiating doubt to others. And I think this is one of those underlying things, that this is not something which is a vanity issue about, oh, well, I want to feel better about myself. It's actually has a much bigger impact on how we help others, because they will trust us more. But I'll let Estie do some of the more formal benefits as well.
Thank you, Mel. Yeah, as you were saying that, I was reflecting on how it's contagious, just like emotions are contagious. When we've got self-doubt, it definitely radiates. These are some of the benefits. If you really do the work in this class, because there is a bit of self-reflection. So yes, it's me delivering content and doing these little mini lectures, but you will definitely leave with more confidence and feel like you're in control, because you will have broken down some of these things that cause imposter syndrome. And as Melanie mentioned, you'll be able to reduce your tendency to hesitate and increase your efficiency as a result of that. This is also going to be a great tool for enhancing your leadership presence. So if you're an emerging leader, or you're new to leading people through change, or you're new to leading a team, this course is going to help you show up in a way that does radiate confidence, and it's going to bring you new opportunities for work because that shows that you're capable of taking on challenges. Stronger relationships, as Mel mentioned, this is something that people sense. So even if we can't put a name or a label on it, if we don't sense that somebody is coming from a place of confidence and that they know what they're doing and that they feel confident in what they're bringing, it is hard to trust them. And so this is going to help you build those higher levels of trust. And as a result, stronger relationships. And so I think, Mel, is that you're covering the next slide?
Yeah, in terms of the
What to
content.
expect.
Yeah, I think, well, I just love this in terms of there's a nice structure, there's a nice flow to this masterclass. So there'll always be the introduction, which is, we always look at the purpose, outcomes, and benefits, so you know that you're on the right masterclass. Then in this case, we're looking at what is imposter syndrome. So it really puts you into a good place, and we share some stories, recognizing and understanding it. And then we're going to do this flavor now because we've only got another 14 minutes, so we're going to get into the depths of it. But I wanted you to see the overview. There's the strategies for how we deal with it, and then there's a nice wrap up and personal action plan. So we're going to pull out a couple of things. I really love the imposter monsters. I think the causes, the internal, external causes, they trigger such food for thought. And then, of course, we're not teaching the whole masterclass in this quick overview, but we did want to look at a couple of strategies at a high level. Flip the script and befriend your inner voice. So I'll let you get on to having a look. The imposter monster is my favorite because you can't help but think, oh yeah, I'm definitely suffering from one of these.
And I also invite people to visualize or draw their imposter monster as part of the class, because naming these helps take some of their power away too, right? Because until now, this is something that, at least for me, was just going on in my head, that, you have these thoughts, you wrestle with them, and then you don't take action, or you do take action, but you hesitate. And so digging in, and one of the first things that you get to do is figure out, well, which imposter monsters am I wrestling with? Because there are 5 different types. And as Melanie said, we're not going to give you the whole masterclass today, but this is just a taster. These are the 5 imposter monsters. So you can just kind of think about which of these resonate for you. The first one is the perfectionist. And the perfectionist feels like they can't take action until everything is 100% correct. Everything has to be accurate, and they tend to hesitate until everything's 100% perfect, which, as we know, can be self-sabotaging. The next one resonated for me, the superhero. The superhero feels like they have to come in and do it all. And some of us tend to um, see a problem and want to fix the problem. And sometimes the superhero's job is to just, with their challenge, is to pause and also bring others in to help. And I'll go deeper into the characteristics of each of these 5, but I just wanted to introduce you to them so you could start thinking about them. Next is the expert. And the experts tend to feel like that they need to get all of the certifications. And I'll give you a quick example. I have a friend who I went through my master's program with, and she's very experienced and knowledgeable about inclusion and diversity. She worked at a women's college, she worked in HR, and we were talking about building a diversity, equity, and inclusion class for leaders. And she said, oh, I don't know, maybe I should go back and get a second master's first. And I'm like, that's like $100,000 price tag to get another certification. Like, you've got the knowledge to do this, and you don't need, external validation all the time. So the expert feels the need to have all of those certifications and external validation. And then this was the one that resonated most for me, although you can have more than one. The natural genius feels like they're not supposed to ask for help. They're supposed to know these things. They assume that everybody else knows them and that they're somehow inadequate or failing if they don't intrinsically have all the answers. And then the last one is the soloist. And the soloist and the superhero seem like maybe they're the same, but when you get into the details, you'll see that they are different. The soloist sees asking for help as a sign of weakness, which is ironic because I resonate with the soloist and I think it's perfectly fine when other people ask for help. So I just see me asking for help, as a deficiency at times, or at least I used to. So these are the five. We've got the perfectionist, the superhero, the expert, the natural genius, and the soloist. And you're welcome to, I would love to actually, Mel's monitoring chat. So if any of these resonate, I'm going to get into the causes, but feel free to drop into chat which one you said, oh, that sounds familiar. The superhero, I'm already seeing some pop in. One of the things I was really surprised by was that there are many causes of imposter syndrome. So my assumption going into this was that it was an issue that we needed to just fix on our own. In fact, there's research that argues against calling it a syndrome because a syndrome is a diagnosable condition that needs to be fixed. Imposter phenomenon, which is sometimes also called, is really just it's a package of experiences and emotions, and it has internal and external causes. It just at some point got labeled imposter syndrome, and so we've stuck with that for the title of the class because that's what everybody knows it as, but that's one of the things that I had to unlearn when I started building this class. It can be caused by some of these internal things. So you can have some personality traits. The perfectionist, for example, is a personality trait. Existing mental health challenges like anxiety and depression can definitely, if not cause, it can definitely exacerbate imposter syndrome. And for some of us, we just have a fear of success. We don't we don't feel like we're worthy of it, and we have difficulty internalizing success. That was one of the big aha moments. It's like we tend to chalk up our success to timing or having a really great team, but we don't internalize it and give ourselves the credit for it. And externally, there's also many causes. The first is so prevalent and so we don't even think about it, but we're constantly on social media being exposed to all of these glossy, perfected, images and posts and things that, we don't post on social media when our battery dies on our car or tree falls, actually, personal story, but I'll save that for the master class. When bad things happen or failures happen, we don't post that. We just post and our friends just post when things are going great. And that's what we end up comparing ourselves to. So we have to be really mindful of our social media consumption, especially if we're battling with imposter monsters. Childhood experiences, even positive ones. If you were always known as the kid that was the smart one, or the rebel, or whatever labels we get as kids, whether they're helpful or not helpful, they can lead to imposter syndrome because we've end up feeling like we've got that reputation to keep up. If you have a lack of psychological safety in your work environment, that can cause imposter syndrome. And cultural differences. In many cultures, we had a great discussion on this. I did an interactive live workshop on imposter syndrome for a bunch of construction project managers. And one woman in the class was from India, and she spoke up and she said, in my culture, it's not encouraged to um, speak up for yourself or to celebrate your wins. And so some things we have to unlearn so that we can be a better version of ourselves. And you might find that there's cultural beliefs that lead to imposter syndrome that you're not even aware of because you've just been raised with them. Lack of representation sort of follows that. So if you're the only one in the room that looks and sounds like you, that can definitely um, exacerbate or cause imposter syndrome. And my goodness, every time I turn around, Apple's updating my iPhone, and I have to go to my 14-year-old so I can learn how to use my own phone. And if that's not technology causing imposter syndrome, I don't know what is. So feel free to drop in the chat if any of these resonate with you. I don't mean to go super fast, but we are recording it so you can go back and listen to these. But also, I wanted to share at least a strategy with you.
Thank you.
Melanie, did you want to
One of
hop
the
in or
things,
did I miss anything?
yeah, one of the things I've thought about when I went through the masterclass several times on social media was, what does having confidence actually feel like? And confidence feels like the behavior is, I see all these perfect lives on social media and these perfectly curated things. And when I have confidence, I can look at it and go, that's something I'd like to take an element of into my life. That person has a beautifully organized home. I'd like to bring some of that in, rather than using it as with a negative inner voice. You're using it to as a stick to beat yourself with. But when you have that confidence, you can look at things and go, I'd like to bring some of that into my world. But you're not made to feel bad. You can actually, in this perfectly curated world that social media gives us, actually it becomes a source of inspiration and ideas rather than as a stick to beat us with. And for me, that personified what you get out of this masterclass. And as Estie puts up the last slide, it just gives us something to look at, which is that feeling of, well, how am I getting out of this? So you've got no time, I know, to say any of these things, but this just highlights that the flip the script is that doing exactly what Estie's talking about here, in that we're putting a different spin on things. And the next one, we just pulled out a couple that we thought were worth highlighting. And after flip the script, we have we can't we've put some examples in here. It is about seeing yourself in a different light. It is about repurposing things to see things in a far more positive way. And the other one that we had a quick look at, we've got
Oh,
about we've got about 5 strategies in there. So we wanted to highlight that there are very practical strategies in the masterclass. So it's not just leading you down a path of saying, well, this is what imposter syndrome is, this is where it comes from, but what can you do about it? And that is the main bulk of a lot of what you're doing in the masterclass, is you are looking at these strategies and you are applying them to your own work. So with 1 minute to go, as ever with these 30-minute sessions, you put up the last slide. I think the thing is, it's your next steps, and it launches next week. So if you want to sign up to be one of the first, if you email me, you will find that, and you're going to get sent the recording of this, then you will get the link sent to you, so you can be one of the first to sign up. All these masterclasses come with a digital badge. So when you have studied this, the digital badge contains all the metadata, all of the explanation of what the content was. So anybody who ever wants to check that you have the certifications you say you have, they can go through that, and it will come up with all of the information that you've studied. And And we are doing 4 more of these 30-minute sessions over the rest of this month. So next week it's digital leadership. We're going to be talking about that, which is another one of those that stays with you long after you have studied it. So I want to thank you. I want to thank Estie for getting up so that she's doing a presentation at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I want to thank all of you for staying with me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.